Hello, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oshawa's Budget Telephone Open House. We are live tonight with Mayor Dan Carter and senior city staff. In addition, we already have many community members on the line who are listening in from across the city. To ask a question live tonight, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Once again, press 3 to ask a live question at any time. While it may take a moment, rest assured that someone will take your name and place you in the question queue shortly. My name is Eric, and I'll be moderating the open house this evening. During this open house, we encourage you to ask questions and participate in some of our polling questions. The city has made it a priority to engage and connect with you and your fellow community members. This open house is a way for you to learn more about the city's budget, the budget process, and answer your budget-related questions. For this evening's open house, we are taking questions related to the City of Oshawa's areas of responsibility. This includes the city budget, comprised of both operating and capital budgets, and municipal budget process, and city services and programs such as waste, green bin and yard waste collection, city roads, events and economic development, fire services, municipal law enforcement, parks and recreation, sidewalk maintenance, and more. Programs and services not covered in the city budget include regional services such as blue box collection, regional roads, police and ambulance services, social housing, transit, as well as provincial and federal services and programs. Our intention is to get as many questions from you and touch on as many topics as possible. At any time, you can press 3 on your phone's keypad to ask a question. While it may take a moment, rest assured that someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Now again, for everyone just joining us, hello and welcome to the City of Oshawa's Budget Telephone Open House. We are live tonight with Mayor Dan Carter and senior city staff, and in addition, we are joined by Oshawa community members who are listening in from throughout the city. We want to remind everyone tonight you can ask a live question at any time by pressing 3 on your phone's keypad. We also have a series of polling questions this evening, and you can submit your responses live on your phone's keypad on those questions as they come up. Now this time, I'm going to introduce Mayor Dan Carter to welcome everyone tonight. Mayor Carter, please go ahead.
Good evening, Eric. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you this evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Carter, the mayor for the great city of Oshawa. Thank you for joining us for our budget telephone open house. Before we get started, we recognize that the city of Oshawa is situated on land steep in rich Indigenous history and culture, and that is the present-day home of many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that we live and work on land covered within the Williams Treaty, which has been the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, and the Haudenosaunee nations, among many other Indigenous nations who have utilized this territory for trade and commerce from time immemorial. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the many Indigenous nations who have cared for these lands and waters from the beginning of time and still do today. We are grateful for the opportunity to live and work on their territory. We are committed to understanding the truths of our shared history, confronting our past and our present, and building a better future together in true reconciliation. I am pleased to be joined in our open house this evening by our Chief Administrative Officer, Tracy Adams, our Commissioner of Corporate and Financial Services and City Treasurer, Stephanie Sinnott, our Commissioner of Economic Development Services, Mr. Warren Monroe, our Commissioner of Safety Facility Services, Mr. Adam Grant, and the City Directors. Tonight, we are looking forward to answering your questions about the city budget and the budget process. But before we get to that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Stephanie Sinnott, our Commissioner of Corporate Finance Services, our City Treasurer, for a brief overview of the city budget process. So good evening, Commissioner. Please take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, and hello, Oshawa. I am pleased to be here this evening to answer your questions on the city budget, but first I will provide you with a brief overview of some considerations used for developing the 2024 city budget. Before I get started, I wanted to remind you that you can press 3 on your phone's keypad at any time tonight to join our question queue. While it may take a moment, rest assured that someone will take your name and place it in line to ask your question shortly. Good evening and welcome to everyone participating. Staff from the city are looking forward to an interactive evening listening to your input and responding to your questions on the city's 2024 budget. The city's budget represents the dollars that are required to operate the city and deliver programs and services to the community. Programs and services such as snow plowing, waste collection, fire services, road and sidewalk maintenance, arts and culture programs, just to name a few. The 2024 budget will be different than previous budgets due to the introduction of the Strong Mayor Powers legislation. On June 16, 2023, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing announced the expansion of the Strong Mayor Powers under Bill 3 to the mayors of 26 large and fast-growing municipalities beyond the City of Toronto and the City of Ottawa. The Mayor of the City of Oshawa was legislated these new powers effective July 1, 2023. The Strong Mayor powers and duties include the responsibility for the budget. On August 4, 2023, the Mayor directed that the Commissioner of Corporate and Finance Services and the Chief Administration Officer prepare a proposed balanced 2024 operating budget, capital budget, and 9-year capital forecast following budget and business planning best practices, and that staff undertake public engagement initiatives as directed by Council on June 26, 2023. Staff have been working collaboratively with the Mayor to provide information on the development of the budget, identifying priorities, and operating costs to deliver services to the community, taking a fiscally responsible approach to respect affordability. The budget is prepared through a detailed review and analysis of all budget lines to reduce costs and maximize revenue in alignment with Council's guiding principle of financial stewardship, balancing short-term operating needs with long-term financial planning. The city's 2024 budget will continue to be challenged by the economic impact of significant inflationary pressures. Major world events are significantly impacting inflation and increasing commodity prices, which is occurring in virtually all market sectors. Global supply chain issues, logistical disruptions, increased manufacturing costs, the impact of legislative and regulatory funding risks, in particular Bill 23, and other influences will see these economic trends continue. The revenue that supports the city budget includes property taxes, user fees, and other revenue. Despite the lack of a property reassessment in recent years, the city is seeing the impact of growth on the assessment roll, resulting in additional taxation revenue. The city's general fees and charges bylaw update will be considered by Council at its meeting on October 30th. The updated fees, if approved, will add approximately $443,000 in new revenue. The 2024 budget has been adjusted to reflect an increase to investment revenues as the city continues to maintain aggressive investment strategies based on fluctuating interest rates and diversification of instruments in order to maximize return. The largest expense in the operating budget is staffing. In 2021, the city undertook a strategic workforce review. This project involved an extensive internal review of current practices and an external scan of benchmark organizations and best practices. Strategic workforce planning is the alignment of the needs and priorities of the city with its workforce to ensure that it can meet its legislative and regulatory requirements, deliver services, and achieve organizational objectives. Workforce planning enables evidence-based workforce development strategies. Key findings of the review revealed that the City of Oshawa's workforce grew at a much lower rate than benchmark municipalities, the population rate, and new household rates over a 10-year period. A number of master and strategic plans related to our growing city identify positions that could or should be considered. The Workforce Strategic Plan identified a staffing deficit of 93 positions over a 4-year forecast. Several staff positions were approved in the 2022 and 2023 budgets. Additional potential staffing additions will be proposed for the 2024 budget to address the deficit and meet the growing needs of our community. Capital investment is considered an important contributor to economic growth and service delivery capabilities of the city. The capital budget is prepared annually, which outlines all proposed capital projects for the upcoming budget year, plus a forecast of capital projects for the following 9 years. Not only is a 10-year budget a best practice, the information is also required to satisfy the asset management legislation. Financing for the city's capital program is derived through a variety of sources, including reserve and reserve funds, development charges, Canada Capital Building Fund, the issuance of debt, and other sources such as cost-sharing agreements for the delivery of specific projects. The 2024 capital budget will be funded using a combination of these funding sources. The capital budget will propose projects to support city operations such as fleet vehicles, parks and trails, roads, sidewalks, and other initiatives. In November 2022, Bill 23, More Homes Built Faster, was passed by the provincial legislature and received royal assent. The objective of supporting the province's plan is to address the housing crisis by targeting the creation of 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. Municipalities are able to set and collect development charges in order to cover the costs of providing the infrastructure necessary to support new growth in communities and to ensure that taxpayers are not subsidizing that growth. However, many of the proposed amendments to the Development Charge Act from Bill 23 will result in taxpayers paying for growth rather than growth paying for growth. Taxpayers will be subsidizing new development in the city. This can also force the city to reduce service levels, potentially affecting health and safety of residents. A conservative high-level estimate calculated the approximate impact of Bill 23 to the city over a 5-year period of $75 million. The city is currently updating the development charge background study and will need to determine the provisions required to cover the potential impacts of Bill 23. There will be significant implications to future budgets. An important component of developing a municipal budget is public engagement. An investigation of municipal budget public engagement practices has revealed that simulation-based tools are becoming increasingly popular as they allow residents to provide insightful feedback while simultaneously learning about the roles and functions of government and experiencing the challenges associated with municipal budgeting. The city has 2 online tools related to the budget, Tax Receipt and Balancing Act. Tax Receipt is a knowledge-sharing tool that informs and educates residents and property owners as to what their tax dollars buy in a familiar format, a receipt. This tool will be available year-round and updated to reflect the most recent city budget data. Balancing Act, the second tool, is the simulation-based tool that allows residents and property owners to share their city budget priorities by attempting to balance the city budget. The mayor will present his budget to council and the public on November 10th, 2023. Eric, let's take the first question.
Thank you, Stephanie. And as mentioned earlier, we already have many community members on the line who are listening in from across the city. I want to remind everyone that if you'd like to ask a question live tonight, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Once again, press 3 to ask a question at any time. It may take a moment, but someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Up first, we have a question from Linda, who has a question about graffiti. Linda, welcome. You're joining us live on the line. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned earlier to you, I'd like to know whether money will be set aside for a lot of businesses that had to pay out money to have graffiti removed from their properties along Simcoe Street and other areas. I know around the downtown I see quite a bit of it. I had this myself back in July, August, as well as there's been a lot of broken windows that people have had to replace at a significant cost to themselves over and above what insurance is paid. I did put in an application for a grant. I'd like to know how much money will be set aside and whether some money will be set aside a little bit for everyone. It just seems to me there seems to be no problem spending multi-millions of dollars on various types of arenas and all kinds of other things, yet nothing is set aside for the people that do pay a lot of money in commercial property taxes. And if you want to have economic development in the downtown and the area around the city of Oshawa, I think this is kind of a necessity, and it really needs to be addressed, and I'd like to know what the council plans to do in relation to that. I have spoken to the council responsible for the downtown, and who referred me actually to economic development and the grant application. Really would like to know additional information as to how much money can be set aside for these people.
Thank you, Linda, for your question. I am going to direct it to our Director of Operations, Mike Saulnier.
Thank you, Linda. Essentially, the city is equipped, and we do take care of graffiti throughout the city. We have seen an influx in the downtown area, and we have assisted some businesses in cleaning up the graffiti. And I gather that most businesses have signed up for assistance in respect to the cleanup in respect to graffiti. We will assist, but these are on private property and usually are governed by the business owner. So, but anybody that has asked for assistance, we have been, more than forthcoming in giving that extra hand there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We are ready for our next question, Eric.
Again, thank you, Linda, for that question. Up next, we have another live question. Just before we get to that, we're going to do our first polling question. So for everyone joining us on the phone, you can use your touch-tone phone to indicate your response. We want to hear from you. Do you feel that you understand how your tax dollars are used within the city budget? If your answer is yes, press 1. If your answer is no, press 2. So again, do you feel that you understand how your tax dollars are used within the city budget? If your answer is yes, press 1. If your answer is no, press 2. Up next, we have a live question from Giselle, who is asking about building in her area. So, Giselle, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm interested in finding out what are the legal raisings of housing in my neighborhood. Right now we have two-story homes, but it has not ever gotten any bigger. But we're close to a very busy area, and I'm wondering if we're going to be changed from 1, 2, 3 story, and I need to know what the future requires. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Commissioner of Economic and Development Services, Warren Monroe.
Thank you for your question, Giselle. In order to answer the question, I would need to know exactly where you live and the zoning that's in your place, because it's the zoning bylaw that will dictate that maximum height for any structure in that particular zone. So you can go online, you can look at the city's zoning bylaw, determine where your house is, and that will tell you the maximum height of any building in your particular area. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
We have another live question coming up now. A quick reminder to everyone joining us, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad if you would like to ask a live question at any time. Up next, we have Gladys, who's joining us with a question related to climate change in the city. Gladys, welcome.
Hello. I was wondering if what the city is doing about mitigating climate change, such as additional trees, solar panels on roofs, preparing for extra major rain or snowstorms, or training new students to get expert on this particular process.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Commissioner, Warren Monroe.
Thank you for your question. The city has taken climate change seriously We have adopted a greenhouse gas emissions plan in 2016. We have committed to reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, and we're well on our way in terms of meeting those targets. As of 2020, we had already reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 50%, and the target is 80% by the year, I believe it's 2050. Thank you.
Mayor Carter.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And to the question, also what we're going through at this particular time is a transformation of our vehicle and our fleet stock. I'm really pleased about the steps that we're taking in regards to the electrification of many of our vehicles. We've put the infrastructure in, and we'll continue to be able to electrify many of our vehicles. There are some vehicles that are unable to go through that transformation, but this is one of our steps that we're taking in regards to the environment, and we are committed in regards to meeting our targets.
And with respect to funding, the city carries funding in the operations reserve to respond to climate change events that might take place in our city. And as well, recently, we are transforming our revolving energy fund reserve into a reserve that's more climate change oriented. And so there will be money to fund some of those initiatives. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Thank you, Gladys, for that question. We're going to go to another question. Again, a reminder to everyone joining us to press 3 on your phone's keypad if you would like to ask a live question. It may take a moment, but someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Now, Stephanie, just before we get to our next live question, could you take a minute to outline how property taxes are determined?
Thank you, Eric. There are two components to property tax. First, it's your home's value as determined by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. And the second component is the total tax rate as determined by the City of Oshawa, the Region of Durham, and the Durham District School Boards. The formula is the assessed value of your house multiplied by the total tax rate. This will give you the total of your property taxes. If you're interested in learning the assessed value of your property, additional information is available on the MPAC website at www.mpac.ca, or you can contact them at 1-866-296-6722. Thank you. We are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have another live question. It's Colette who's joining us live now, and Colette has a question about what to do with garden waste. Colette, please go ahead with your question. Colette, are you there? All right, we'll try and get Colette back in just a second. A reminder to everyone joining us, please press 3 on your phone's keypad if you'd like to ask a live question on the City of Oshawa's Budget Telephone Open House. Someone will take your name and place you in the question queue. Up next, Lloyd is joining us, and Lloyd is asking about his green bins. Lloyd, welcome. Please go ahead.
I do not have a computer, so how am I supposed to know what goes out 1 week after another for yard waste and stuff like that? I know the green bin goes out every week in the blue boxes, but the other green bags and maybe brown bags, I have no idea when they go out, because I don't have that computer, so how am I going to know?
Thank you, Lloyd, for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Operations, Mike Saunier.
Yes, thank you, Lloyd, for the question. Essentially, the green bin is put out weekly. If you're talking about the lack of printing calendars, this year we've reduced our paper-based calendars, and those calendars will be available through Service Oshawa in certain rec facilities. But generally speaking, your green bin is picked up weekly. Thank you.
Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Lloyd, thank you again for that question. We are now going to go to a live question from Tom, and Tom has a question about new road construction. Tom, welcome. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about Olive Avenue between Ritson Road and Simcoe. I've been a taxpayer in Oshawa for 60 years. I live on Burden Road, and anytime you want to go to the mall or any place west, you have to go in between Ritson Road and Simcoe. And there's been talk for many years that they're going to build a new street there. I wonder if that's ever going to happen.
Thank you, Tom, for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Engineering, Anthony Ambra.
Thank you, Tom, for the question. The road you're speaking of, Olive Avenue, is actually part of the Gibb Olive Extension and is actually a regional project. If you reach out to the city at communications@oshawa.ca or through engineering services, we can give you a direct link, or you can go to the region's website and receive information directly from there. Thank you.
Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Tom, thank you again for that question. A reminder to everyone joining us that we are taking your questions live tonight, and you can simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Once again, press 3 to ask a question at any time. We are taking questions related to the City of Oshawa's areas of responsibility. This includes the city budget, comprised of both operating and capital budgets and municipal budget process, and city services and programs such as waste, green bin and yard waste collection, city roads, events and economic development, fire services, municipal law enforcement, parks and recreation, sidewalk maintenance, and more. So again, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you have a live question you'd like to ask on the town hall or on tonight's open house. So what we're going to go now to is Norbert, who has a question about roundabouts. Norbert, welcome.
Hey, thank you. In Europe, for years and years, they have roundabouts on almost every street and highway you can think of. Why don't we have these? Because roundabouts, you don't need any traffic lights. They work in any situation, whether weather-wise or any other type. And they are also carbon completely neutral because they don't use any power or traffic lights or nothing. So why don't we have on every intersection a roundabout instead? We have the room for it, definitely.
Thank you, Norbert, for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Engineering, Anthony Ambra.
Thank you, Norbert, for your question. The city does have a number of roundabouts in place. The Thornton Conlon roundabout has just reopened after reconstruction through the last season. Having said that, there are a number of roundabouts planned along Conlon Road at the intersections of Wilson and Grandview. And in addition to that, in the Kedron planning area north of Conlon, a number of roundabouts have been planned through the community growth. As well, in the Columbus area, as part of the Columbus Part 2 plan, a number of roundabouts are planned in that area also. Thank you.
We are ready for our next question, Eric.
Up next, we have a question from Stanley, and Stanley asking about snow removal. Stanley, welcome. Please go ahead.
Yes, my question is the budget, does it have enough money in it to have a secondary plow to plow the end of the driveways? We have recently had some very heavy snowfalls, and that snow becomes very heavy, especially with the elderly community we have out in Oshawa right now.
Thank you, Stanley. I'm going to direct your question to our Director of Operations, Mike Saunier.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Stanley. The city is not equipped with additional plows to clear the windrows at the end of the driveway. We do have a seniors assistance program that once the residential street is plowed, that we'll go around and clear the windrows for seniors. We have approximately 2,800 seniors that have signed up for this program, which has been extremely successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Stanley, thank you again for that question. And up next, we're going to go to another live question. Press 3 on your phone's keypad if you'd like to ask a question live this evening. Kathleen is joining us now, who has a question regarding property standards. Kathleen, welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Kathleen. My question basically is in regards to property standards and the maintenance. I understand that there are a lot of property owners that are absent. Unfortunately, the property is not maintained. The laws and regulations that we have in place currently are very antiquated. Time constraints have to be limited, fines increased, because things like this cause garbage, which results in rats and all other kinds of problems. What can be done to change this? Because this is far, far too antiquated. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm going to direct your question to our Director of Municipal Law Enforcement, Phil Lyon.
Good evening, Kathleen. Thank you for your question. Property standards, we do have a robust property standards bylaw with respect to property maintenance, lot maintenance issues, and those sorts of things. I'd be happy to direct you to communications at Oshawa for any locations that you feel are not up to the standards, and we would have staff investigate those and take the appropriate action. We are also going to implement a vacant building registry that was adopted by council just this past year, and that will be coming online in Q1 of 2024. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Phil. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Thank you, Kathleen, for the question. And a reminder to everyone joining us, press 3 on your phone's keypad if you would like to ask a live question on tonight's telephone open house. Now, the next question has come in by text from a community member, and the question is as follows. When will we see the new GO stations open?
I'll be directing the question to Megan Harrington, a manager in planning. Hi, good evening. Thank you for your question. What I can offer as far as information related to the GO station is that Metrolinx has committed to moving forward with the planned rail corridor north of Highway 401 with station stops at Thornton's Corners, Central Oshawa, Curtis, and Bowmanville. In 2022, the Ontario government announced an investment of $730 million to bring two-way all-day GO train service to Bowmanville. And in response to that announcement, in addition to some policy changes at a provincial and regional level, the city has initiated its own integrated major transit station area study for the Central Oshawa to plan for future land uses and transportation centered around the planned Central Oshawa GO station at 500 Howard Street. This study will involve extensive public consultation, which to date has included 2 public information centers. The first held in February of this year, followed by one in June. And to learn more about how you can get involved with this particular study, we ask that you visit connectoshawa.ca/MTSA study. Mayor Carter.
First of all, thank you very much, Megan, for that response. I just wanted to inform the caller that today I appeared in front of the Standing Committee with the provincial government to talk about the station implementation program that is being brought forward. It is known as Bill 131, and this will help us be able to facilitate the stations quicker. This bill has been brought forward in regards to an initiative and modernization of looking at how we can fund stations quicker and how development will help us be able to deliver these programs. I'm pleased to be able to say that from the Standing Committee today, it seemed that it was very positive in regards to seeing this bill moving forward, and I'm optimistic that after 25 years, we will see our 2 stations be in place, hopefully, in the very short future. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Again, a reminder to everyone joining us on the City of Oshawa's Budget Telephone Open House, we want to hear from you. Press 3 on your phone's keypad, and someone will take your name and place you in the question queue shortly. Up next, we have Dawn, who's joining us live with a question about animal control. Dawn, welcome.
Oh, hello. My question isn't about actual control. It's about are you going to add anything extra to the budget for subsidizing the animal shelter and possibly a spay and neuter clinic?
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct your question to Director Beth Mullen.
Good evening, and thank you for your question. We are certainly looking at adding certain programs and services to the budget. If we would like more information, I would suggest that you can email communications@oshawa.ca. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we're going to do another polling question. So for everybody joining us, you can use your touchtone phone to indicate your responses. And what we want to hear from you is, what option would you prefer the most to balance the budget? If your answer is to increase property taxes to increase services, press 1. If it is to increase property taxes to maintain services, press 2. If it is to increase user fees to maintain services, press 3. If your answer is a combination of an increase in property taxes and user fees to maintain services, press 4. If your answer is a combination of a small increase in taxes and user fees and decrease of services, press 5. If your answer is to maintain current taxes and decrease services, press 6. So again, what option would you prefer the most to balance the budget? If your answer is increase property taxes to increase services, press 1. If your answer is increase property taxes to maintain services, press 2. If your answer is increase user fees to maintain services, press 3. If your answer is a combination of an increase in property taxes and user fees to maintain services, press 4. If your answer is a combination of a small increase in taxes and user fees and a decrease of services, press 5. If your answer is to maintain current taxes and decrease services, press 6. Up next, we have a question from Courtney, who has a question about the new strong mayor powers and the impact on the city budget. Courtney, welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and really appreciate the opportunity to present this question for Mayor Dan Carter. What direction or what impact has the new strong mayor's power have on this budget when compared to previous budget? What is your specific mandate on this budget with your new powers? Thank you.
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for the question. And the legislation requires me to be able to work with our staff to be able to present the budget. What I can tell you is my record has always been to be very much a fiscal conservative. I've been able to work with our Commissioner of Financial Services for about 9 years, both in a role as a regional and city representative and chair of finance, and then also having the opportunity to work with her also as the mayor. I can tell you that the pressures from some of the downloading that has happened from the province, including Bill 23, will have significant pressures on our budget process. But we're working with all of our staff to be able to make sure that we clearly understand the impact that is happening on residents and citizens in our community. I'm committed in regards to making sure that we spend taxpayers' dollars responsibly, make sure that we're accountable where those dollars are. I'm also committed in regards to making sure that we have a good fiscal plan as we move forward. I have never been a great believer in huge amounts of debt. I've always believed that we must live within our means. And I've been fortunate enough to be supported through our financial department to be able to make sure that we have that combination of good investment into our capital and infrastructure, and making sure that we're able to meet our obligations with operations. This budget will be challenging, but the strong mayor's powers demand of me to be able to set and work with our staff to be able to deliver a budget. We will be delivering the budget on November the 10th for members of council to be able to receive it. The public will hear from our staff as they do their presentations in regards to their department requirements. And after that time, council will have the opportunity to bring forward amendments in regards to that budget. But I am committed in regards to making sure that this budget reflects the best investments that are should be made on behalf of the city, continue to address the growth of our city and the capital needs and infrastructure needs, but also at the same time making sure that we are responsible in regards to the impact that we have on the average family. I'll be honest with you, this new legislation is challenging both for myself as mayor, but all mayors across the province of Ontario. But I also believe that this is a great opportunity for us to be able to have a budget that really truly represents what we need to do as we move forward into the future. So thank you very much for the question, and I hope that I've answered it fully. Stephanie?
Thank you, Mayor Carter. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have another live question. Again, press 3 on your phone's keypad to ask a live question during tonight's telephone open house. William is asking a question now, and his question is about electric scooters in the city. William, welcome. Please go ahead.
Thanks very much. As I understand it, they cannot be ridden on sidewalks or on roadways. Yet, the company that is responsible for this experiment leaves their machines by the side of roads and on sidewalks. People who rent them, I guess they figure it's okay to ride on the sidewalk and the road. My question is, how much longer is this experiment going to go on? And why is it not being enforced to stay within the rules set down by the city of staying off sidewalks and roads? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, William. I'm going to direct it to our Commissioner of Economic and Development Services, Warren Munro.
Thank you for your question. It's a pilot project that is being run by the province. When council approved it was originally for an 18-month period, which would end on December 31st of 2024. So there's another approximately 14 months in the project. The scooters are permitted on roads. They are not permitted on sidewalks. And if you see a scooter that is being ridden on the road, you can always contact Service Oshawa with the scooter company and the location, and they will follow up with the company. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Thank you, William, for that question. Up next, we have John with a question about cannabis sales. John, welcome. Please go ahead.
Hi, how are you? I'm just wondering how many more cannabis stores are going to be opening in Oshawa.
Thank you, John. Again, I'm going to direct the question to Warren Munro.
Thank you for the question, John. City Council had attempted to regulate the number of cannabis stores with the province of Ontario by requesting the province to limit the number of stores to 1 per ward in Oshawa, which would mean you have a maximum of 5 in Oshawa. However, the province has not heeded that request from the City Council, and they will review individual applications for a license to sell cannabis when they're received from the public.
Thank you, Warren. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have another live question. But before we go to our next live question, Stephanie, can you tell the listeners what cost-saving measures the city is implementing?
Thank you, Eric. The city has established a continuous improvement framework that is finding efficiencies at the City of Oshawa. We continue to review our processes and take a fresh look and streamline operations, manage risks, and train our employees within a culture of continuous improvement. The continuous improvement framework includes 4 areas, including lean initiatives, service reviews, internal audit, and risk management. There's more information available on the city's website at www.oshawa.ca. Thank you.
Up next, we have another live question. This one is from Day, who has a question about farmland development. Day, welcome. Please go ahead.
Good evening. I was wondering why we are essentially subsidizing destroying our greenbelt and paving over our farmland when we can instead densify areas of our city that are already developed.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to Commissioner Monroe.
Thank you for your question, Dawn. The City of Oshawa has an official plan which will designate land for residential development to meet the needs of the city up until the year 2040. Included within that is areas which are currently actively farmed, but over time will become plans of subdivision. These are predominantly in the Columbus Part 2 planning area, which was recently adopted by City Council and sent off to the Region of Durham for approval.
Thank you, Eric. We are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have another live question. This one is from Gladys with a question about bike paths. Gladys, welcome.
Hello. I was wondering about a map for the bike paths that are available in Oshawa. Is it possible to get one in PDF form? And also, I really appreciate the north-south routes. They're great, but there's not enough east-west routes that connect to them.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Engineering, Anthony Ambra.
Thank you for the question, Gladys. In terms of receiving a map, I would suggest reaching out to communications@oshawa.ca with an email address, and we can get a map to you in terms of our active transportation network. The active transportation plan identifies a number of different routes throughout the city for bike paths, bike routes, and cycling lanes. We implement those as part of our road reconstruction projects and or significant inclusions of multi-use paths such as Thornton Road North or other projects related specifically to cycling. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have a question that has come in by email, and the question is, what is being done to attract new business to the city?
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Economic Development, Haley Wright.
Good evening, and thank you for the question. I'd like to note that all-time construction records in 2022 included a significant amount of job-producing industrial development. In 2022, Oshawa set 25 new building records, including 12 new industrial and commercial buildings in the city. This industrial growth, which has accounted for over $250 million in building permit activity over the past 5 years, has brought many new companies and jobs to Oshawa's economy. Some major investments include, but are not limited to, the establishment of Ontario Power Generation's new corporate headquarters, new infrastructure expansions at the Oshawa Port, the addition of a third shift for light-duty pickup production at GM Oshawa Assembly Plant, and new global tenants in Northwood Business Park, including Lactalis Canada Incorporated and Martin Brower. The Business and Economic Development Services team provides a real estate listings portal on our website, which highlights all current on-market real estate opportunities in the city. And the branch is also undertaking the development of a 10-year economic development strategy, which will be delivered to City Council in November of 2023. The strategy aims to provide a comprehensive, community-focused plan that positions Oshawa for success over the next decade by driving investment with the express goal of growing and diversifying Oshawa's economy. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Haley. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we're going to do another survey question. So for everyone in the audience, you can use your touch-tone phone to indicate your response. We want to know what portion of your what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over? If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 61%, press 2. If your answer is 41%, press 3. So again, what portion of your total property tax bill does the city have direct control over? If your answer is 100%, press 1. If your answer is 61%, press 2. If your answer is 41%, press 3. Now we have another live question coming up now from Artie. Artie has a question about speed limits in a specific part of the city. Artie, welcome. You're joining us live. Hi there, Artie. You're joining us live on the line. Please go ahead with your question. Artie, are you available? Okay, we'll try and get Artie back in just a moment to ask their question. In the meanwhile, I want to remind people that they can ask a live question by pressing 3 on their phone's keypad. Now, before we get to the next question, Stephanie, could you please let our listeners know why the city's grant program has changed?
Thank you for the question, Eric. The city has always had an anchor and partnership grant program, and it was over 11 years old. So it needed to be modernized and more reflective of the current community needs. Council approved a change in 2022 to the new grant program. The program provides support to community groups and organizations in Oshawa under the following programs: Arts, Culture, and Heritage Event, which are funds to support the development and delivery of events, festivals, celebrations, and gatherings in Oshawa. Arts, Culture, and Heritage Development Projects and Special Initiatives, which is one-time funding to support the development and presentation of an event, project, or initiative within the arts, culture, heritage, and environment sectors. Strong Inclusive Communities are funds to support initiatives and events that support healthy, safe, and inclusive community development. Fundraising events are in-kind services to support fundraising events held in Oshawa, including facility rental fees, equipment rentals, road closures, and other city support. Thank you.
Up next, we have another live question, and it's Jack who's joining us live now. Jack has a question about the city's debt levels. Jack, welcome.
Thank you. My question is just what is the current debt level of the city of Oshawa, and what is forecast in the upcoming budget? Is that debt level going to go up or go down? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. The city has been taking a very aggressive approach at paying down debt. Over the last several years, we have paid off many millions of dollars in debt. The balance of our debt is forecast to be approximately $35 million at the end of this calendar year. The principal and interest payments that will be reflected in the 2024 budget will be unchanged from 2023. However, those payments in 2024 will represent the maturing of an old debenture, which will actually come off of our books for the 2025 budget. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have another question that's come in by email, and the question is, how much is the city spending on its centennial celebration?
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Economic Development, Haley Wright.
Thank you very much for the question. To celebrate the centennial year in the city of Oshawa, we'll be offering a full year of programming, which has been endorsed by City Council. Oshawa Centennial Year is an opportunity to continue to grow and showcase Oshawa as a thriving community that has plenty to offer its residents and its visitors. Special events regularly offered by the city will be expanded and incorporated into the celebration, augmented by the creation of many new projects and initiatives. New projects include one-time special initiatives, including environmental activities, the creation of a community grant program, awards for post-secondary students, new public artwork, and new arts and culture festivals and programming. In total, there's approximately $757,000 allocated to fund the expanded and new activities, while existing operating funds will be used to support regularly offered annual programs. In addition to this, staff have been preparing grant applications to support the delivery of programs and are seeking sponsorship opportunities, which may reduce the budget ask for 2024. City staff will report to committee and council in the fourth quarter of 2024 regarding the overall expenditures and successes of the city's planned centennial year celebrations.
Thank you, Haley. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have a question from Clive, and Clive's question is about traffic lights. Clive, welcome. Please go ahead.
Yes, I've been driving taxi in Oshawa for almost 50 years, and I was wondering why the traffic lights in Oshawa are all synchronized now. We don't make green lights anymore. Everybody's racing each other to the next intersection. Who changed the lights? Did it region, or is Oshawa responsible for this? Hello?
Thank you, Clive. I'm going to direct your question to our Director of Operations, Mike Saunier.
Yes, thank you, Clive, for the question. Essentially, all the lights are administered through the region, and they monitor the patterns and adjust them to give it a bit of a through fare throughout the city. I get that some of them might not, meet all your expectations, especially being a taxi driver, but they are monitored by the region, and they do adjust them accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have a question from Dick, whose question is about traffic improvements in a few specific spots in the city. Dick, welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I understand they're going to be widening Roslyn Road from Ritson to Grandview. And I was just wondering why they don't extend Ritson over to the town line to go through the park. And it's not a long distance. But it would alleviate the traffic on Grandview, and because right now you have to go Grandview to Beatrice and across the town line to get down to Pebblestone. So I was wondering if they've given any thought to that.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to direct it to our Director of Engineering, Anthony Ambra.
Thank you for your question. Roslyn Road is actually a regional road. Although Grandview is a city road, we are concerned with cut-through traffic during construction, and we do coordinate work with the region. Having said that, I would suggest that you contact the region of Durham directly to discuss the construction or the widening of Roslyn Road. If you have any concerns with regards to Grandview Street, you can reach out to either the engineering group directly at the city or through communications@oshawa.ca. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Up next, we have a question from Bonu, who's joining us live now with a question about snow removal. Bonu, welcome.
Hi, I just have a question on the sidewalk snow removal on the main roads. That means the school bus route, right? Wherever the school bus are going. At least the city, if they can remove the sidewalks, snow clearing, will be good, right? Because a lot of students are using the road in the winter and it's becoming slippery sometimes before we could remove or salt it. So this is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. I'm going to direct your question to our Director of Operations, Mike Saunier.
Yes, thank you for the question, Anu. Essentially, the city clears about, about 154 kilometers of sidewalk. Homeowners do have a responsibility to clear their part of the sidewalk. So if you, on a major artery, regardless if it's a major road or not, they still have to clear their sidewalk. And that's reinforced through municipal law enforcement at the same time. We do our best to make sure that we're there on a timely basis, but you have to realize that the first issue is the road, and that creates the windrow up onto the sidewalk. And then after that, after all residentials are completed, then we get to the sidewalk part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Eric, we are ready for our next question.
Bonu, thank you again for that question. Now, actually, Mayor Carter, we're just about reaching the end of the open house. We had a lot of great questions this evening. And with the last couple of minutes remaining, are there some closing remarks you want to share with everyone listening in?
First and foremost, thank you very much to all the callers that called in this evening. And we have tracked over 26 different callers and emails that have come in, and we appreciate the depth and the width of the questions, and we look forward to continuing to take this information as we develop the budget as we move forward. I want to say thank you to our treasurer for her assistance this evening in making sure that we get the right answers and directed to the right people so that we're able to address your concerns as best as possible. Just want to remind you that the 2024 budget will be delivered to Council and made available online for public review at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, November the 10th. Members of the public are welcome to watch the meeting in person in the Council chambers or online via web stream accessible through the Oshawa.ca budget. A recording of tonight's calls will be made available online in the coming days at the Oshawa.ca/budget. Again, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our staff and our department heads, but thank you, the residents of the great city of Oshawa, for participating in this year's Budget Open Town Hall meeting. Eric, back to you.
Thank you, Mayor Carter, and thank you to everyone for listening in this evening. Don't forget, you can visit oshawa.ca/budget for the latest information on the city's budget. Thank you once again to everyone for joining us this evening, and have a great night.